Hey, I wanted to check in with you. Have you ever reached the end of the day and thought, what on earth did I actually do today? This is not going to be some astrology lesson, guys, so don't worry about that. This episode is a grounded reflection inspired by the rhythm of the full moon and by something I've been noticing lately. So welcome to this month's Full Moon Insight, and I'm your host, Pasha Maya, No Fluff Spirituality Podcast. Business, life and spirit for the new era, grounded, real and clear. So can I ask you something? Have you noticed that life doesn't necessarily feel harder at the moment? It just feels full? Not simply because our diaries are busy, but probably our diaries are busy, or our schedules, or our to-dos. Or maybe it's because our inbox seems to have a life of its own. I'm talking about that quieter kind of full, the kind where your mind never really settles, where even the smallest decision can feel like one decision too many. Where you finally sit down at the end of the day and realize your head is still racing. And I've been hearing that from so many people recently, and also from my clients. Not that they're unhappy, not that their life is falling apart. They're simply tired. Not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. There's a strange fatigue going on. It's almost as though they've been carrying an invisible backpack for so long that they've forgotten it's even there. And it makes me wonder, have we become so accustomed to carrying everything, that we've forgotten what spaciousness actually feels like, or we delay that until the next holiday? I know for myself, the older I get, the more I realize life really slows itself down for us. Seems to be speeding up. A lot of people are saying, a 24-hour day feels like a 16-hour day in reality. And if we are in business, there's always another email waiting, or even if we're not, another appointment in the calendar, another conversation to have, another person needing something from us. It could be our family members or children. For years, I used to think, once I get through this, then life will settle. Then I'll slow down, then I'll have space. But life has an interesting habit of replacing one busy season with another. Winter's a good time to incubate and catch up on indoor things. But do we actually do that then? So perhaps waiting for life to become less busy isn't really the answer. Perhaps the invitation is learning how to become a little less busy inside ourselves. Because those are two very different things. And one of the reasons I enjoy reflecting around the full moon phase each month is because it naturally creates a pause. And full moon phase is not just the day of the full moon as per the calendar. It's like the lead up and then also the come down. So it's a period of, can be a week or even longer, especially for sensitive people. And not because I believe that moon magically changes our lives, but because it quietly reminds me to stop, to look up, to go outside, to see if I can see the moon, take a breath, and ask myself a question I probably don't ask often enough. For myself, I remind myself, it's another month has gone by. And I ask myself, how am I really feeling? A really honest reflection. And one that's usually waiting underneath all the busyness. I came across an idea recently about what happens when a system reaches maximum capacity. It really landed for me because I don't think most of us need another productivity hack or another morning routine or another motivation. I think many of us simply need a little more room room to think, room to breathe, room to hear ourselves again. Because when everything feels urgent, very little actually is. Something else I've been reflecting on is this. When life feels too full, our instinct is often to become stronger, more disciplined, more organised, more resilient. But what if that is the wrong question altogether? I'm really wondering if the better question is, what am I still carrying that no longer belongs in this season of my life? Perhaps it's an old expectation, a responsibility you've outgrown, a disappointment you've never quite put down or released. Or perhaps it's an old story about who you thought you had to become. Or something someone said that really touched you or triggered you. Sometimes today's exhaustion isn't really even about today. Sometimes it's the weight of everything we've quietly brought along with us. I had a bit of a laugh this week because I looked at my computer and I counted the number of browser tabs I'd left open. Some were important, some I'd sort of forgotten about. A few have been there for several days, and I caught myself thinking, well, no wonder my computer's running quite slow. And then I realised, look, our minds aren't all that different. It could be an analogy for a conversation we've kept replaying and we know we need to phone someone. A decision we've already made, but we're still a bit on the fence about, was it really the right aligned decision? Something we were meant to deal with months ago, and it keeps going back on the to-do list. It all just quietly uses energy in the background. No wonder we sometimes feel mentally exhausted even before the day has begun. This is what I'm hearing from people. So if this full moon in July, it's all about this, about where can we simplify? What can we release? So it carries an invitation, and I look at it, what is the invitation exactly? And for me, it's beautifully simple. Don't rush to add something new. Instead, create a little more space. Because clarity rarely arrives when life becomes louder. Have you noticed that? More often, it appears when something inside us becomes quieter. We're doing something we really enjoy, and then, oops, all of a sudden, clarity comes in, and we go, oh, that's the decision. Oh, great, thank you. If you'd like to take a simple ritual this month, keep it beautifully uncomplicated. So grab a notebook or some paper, spend 10 quiet minutes writing down whatever has been taking up space in your mind. The conversation you've been replaying, maybe it's a decision you've been avoiding, the worry that follows you into the early hours of the morning. You don't have to solve any of it today. Simply acknowledge it, no judgment. Sometimes that's all our nervous system has been waiting for. Then head outside, take a slow walk, even if it's just around your house, or up to the nearest park. Look up, touch a tree. Watch the moon if it's visible. Or simply stand still for a few moments. Really feel that ground beneath your feet. Nature has never rushed a season. And we don't need to either. Before I leave you, I'd like to offer a few gentle reminders, not because you need more things to remember, but I think sometimes we simply need to hear something at that right moment. So I've created these simple, I call them mantras or power statements. I choose spaciousness over constant striving. My attention is precious, and I want to spend it wisely. I can let go of what no longer deserves my energy. Rest isn't falling apart or behind. It's often where clarity quietly returns, is in the rest. So one last thought. Maybe peace isn't found by doing less. I actually think it's found by carrying less. So there's a nuance there. Just sit with it. Feel into it. So thanks for spending these minutes with me. And if today's reflection resonated, perhaps send it to someone who's been carrying a little too much lately. And until next time, take gentle care of yourself. And if you've enjoyed this bonus episode, the June episode, which was my first full moon InSIGHT episode, was super popular. So check out my weekly drops as well. Friday, 8 a.m. New Zealand time. The best way would be to subscribe and follow No Fluff Spirituality Podcast. Links are in the show notes. And I'll see you in the next episode.